Uncover the hidden signs. Is he more in love than he realizes? Have you ever felt it? Not in a declaration, not in grand promises, but in the space between the words? A shift in the air when he looks your way, believing himself unseen? A subtle tremor in his voice, reserved only for you? Our conscious minds build walls, choose words carefully, weigh consequences. But beneath that surface, the deep currents of the soul move with undeniable force. Carl Jung, the pioneer of mapping these hidden territories, understood this profoundly. Our most authentic emotions often bypass the gatekeepers of logic entirely. They live and breathe in the unconscious, writing their truths onto our behavior in ways we rarely control. So, what if the man whose actions sometimes leave you guessing, the silences that echo, the moments of unexpected closeness followed by distance, is actually navigating a love far deeper than his own awareness can yet grasp? What if his soul recognized yours long before his mind could articulate it? Too often we mistake the absence of confession for an absence of feeling. We wait for the scripted romance, missing the raw, untamed language of the soul unfolding before us. True love, the kind that resonates from the core of being, doesn't announce itself. It subtly, irrevocably remakes his inner world. And it leaves clues, powerful indicators for those willing to see beyond the obvious. Forget the cliches, the texting rules, the superficial checklists. We're diving deeper. We're exploring the archetypal whispers, the symbols Jung recognized as the soul's native tongue. How does a man's essence react when it encounters a presence that truly moves him, even if he hasn't consciously named the feeling? Listen with more than your ears. Open your intuition, that innate capacity to perceive the currents beneath the surface. Because if even one of these resonant signs appears, if you recognize these patterns, you're witnessing something profound, a heart deeply stirred, a love taking root in the fertile ground of his unconscious, potentially far stronger than his conscious self is ready to admit. Let's decipher the soul's secret language, sign by illuminating sign. Sign 1, perceiving the unseen, the quality of his attention. The first echo of this deeper connection isn't loud attention-seeking. It's a profound shift in perception. It's not just that he notices things, it's what he notices and how. He starts perceiving the nuances others miss, the fleeting shadow in your eyes even when you say, "I'm fine," the subtle shift in your energy before you speak a word, the way a particular memory lights you up from within. This isn't calculated observation, it's an unconscious draw, a form of soul recognition. Jung spoke of projection, how we often see reflections of our own deepest needs and ideals, like the anima, the inner feminine image in a man's psyche, in another. When this happens, the attention he pays you isn't superficial, it's imbued with a unique quality. He's not just seeing you, his soul is responding to something resonant within you. You might find he references something you shared long ago, seemingly out of the blue. He might reappear in your orbit with a flimsy excuse. This isn't mere coincidence or habit, it's the magnetic pull of that unconscious connection. He's processing an internal resonance he likely can't explain, but it consistently draws his focus back to your essence. It's not obsession, it's the hum of a connection vibrating beneath the surface of awareness. Sign 2, the unmasking vulnerability and authenticity. Observe how his very demeanor transforms subtly but distinctly only with you. Many men wear a carefully constructed persona, a mask of competence, control, or aloofness. But when a man's soul is deeply engaged, even unconsciously, that mask begins to slip in your presence. He might become unexpectedly open, sharing thoughts or feelings he normally guards, or paradoxically, he might seem more awkward, more endearingly clumsy. This isn't a flaw, it's profoundly human. True connection doesn't demand perfection, it disarms. It invites the authentic self with all its imperfections to step forward. If you sense he lowers his defenses primarily around you, if the silences shared between you feel full and connected rather than empty or tense, you're witnessing the emergence of his core self. This vulnerability isn't a calculated move, it's an unconscious response to the safety and acceptance his soul perceives in your presence. He's not performing, he's simply being, more authentically, with you. Sign 3, the guardian instinct, unspoken protection. Jung believed that what the soul values, it instinctively seeks to protect. When a man is unconsciously yet deeply connected to you, a protective instinct often emerges, sometimes surprising even himself. It's not about ownership or control, it's a deeper, almost primal impulse. Does he express subtle concern for your well-being in ways that seem almost illogical? Wanting to ensure you got home safely, worrying if you're taking care of yourself, feeling a disproportionate unease if you're facing difficulty? This isn't about playing the hero. It's an innate drive stemming from the fact that, on some level, your well-being has become intertwined with his own sense of inner equilibrium. It's as if his soul has extended its boundary to include you, making your safety feel integral to his own. This silent devotion, offered without expectation of reward or recognition, is a powerful testament. When a man begins to care for you with this quiet, unwavering vigilance, it's because his soul has already claimed you as part of its essential landscape, whether his conscious mind has caught up or not. Sign 4, resonance in presence and absence. Sometimes the most potent communication happens without a single word. There's an energy, an almost palpable presence when a man is deeply connected. Observe the unspoken shifts, the way his breathing might deepen slightly when you're near, the quality of his gaze that seems to see more than just the surface, the comfortable, profound silence that can settle between you. This isn't awkwardness, it's a different kind of communion, his soul connecting with yours beyond language. His body often betrays what his mind hasn't processed. Watch his unconscious reactions, a subtle tension if someone speaks ill of you, a quiet light in his eyes if you're praised. Love doesn't need conscious permission to defend what it holds dear. And crucially, notice how his inner world changes even when you're not there. Does he seem more distracted lately, more reflective or restless? It's as if your presence has activated something within him, an internal frequency shift he can't quite pinpoint. Jung understood the power of internal figures. You may have become an unconscious presence shaping his thoughts and moods. If he carries you within him, even in your absence, if you surface unexpectedly in his conversations or thoughts, that persistence speaks volumes. It's the echo of a connection that transcends physical proximity. Sign 5, the reorientation of his world, unconscious prioritization. True connection inevitably leads to a subtle but significant reordering of his inner world. It's not about grand sacrifices announced with fanfare. It's about the quiet, almost invisible ways he begins to make space for you in his life, his time, his mental energy. When something resonates deeply, effort ceases to feel like effort. Does he consistently find ways to connect, even amidst a busy schedule? Does he remember details of your conversations and follow up on them? Does he seem genuinely regretful if he falls short? This isn't done to impress. It flows from an unconscious reprioritization. His inner compass is subtly, naturally recalibrating to include your bearing. He's not just fitting you into his existing life. His life is organically rearranging itself around your significance. This rearrangement, this unconscious yielding of space and energy, reveals more about your place in his inner world than any spoken commitment could. Sign 6, opening the inner sanctum, trust and shared depth. Beyond sharing simple facts or stories, observe if he begins to grant you access to his inner landscape, the territories he keeps hidden from the world. This isn't just about recounting history, it's about revealing vulnerabilities, admitting fears, sharing unspoken dreams, or even acknowledging parts of his shadow, the aspects of himself he might struggle with. Jung taught that true self-knowledge often requires a mirror. In the safety of a deep connection, you may unconsciously become that mirror for him. When a man starts sharing these intimate, unpolished fragments of his being, it signifies profound trust. He's not seeking judgment or even necessarily solutions. He's instinctively allowing his soul to be seen, truly seen, perhaps for the first time. This level of openness isn't a tactic, it's surrender. It's the highest form of compliment, an unconscious acknowledgement that in your presence his soul feels safe enough to be whole, shadows and all. This shared intimacy, born of unspoken trust, is a hallmark of a love taking root at the deepest level. Sign 7, weaving you into tomorrow, unconscious future inclusion. Listen closely when he speaks about the future, even casually. Does he unconsciously, naturally weave you into those visions? It might be subtle, "We should go there someday," or mentioning a long-term goal and instinctively checking your reaction as if your alignment is already part of the equation. He's not necessarily making concrete plans or promises. It's more fluid, more symbolic. It's his unconscious mind projecting forward, and in that projection your presence is simply there, assumed, an integral thread in the tapestry he envisions. These fleeting glimpses into his imagined future, where you seamlessly exist, are powerful indicators. They reveal that in the architecture of his soul, you are already perceived not as a temporary visitor, but as a potential cornerstone of his evolving life story. No pressure or demands are needed. The soul reveals its intentions in these spontaneous projections. Sign 8, the merging of worlds and the silent defense. As the connection deepens, notice a gentle, unforced merging of worlds. Does he develop a genuine interest in your passions, your ideas, the things that make your spirit soar? It's not about him losing himself. It's about his world expanding to joyfully encompass yours. Boundaries soften, not through obligation, but through resonance. This is where true intimacy flourishes, not just attraction, but a sense of shared belonging. And intertwined with this merging is the silent defense. You may never witness it, but be aware. When you become integral to his inner world, an attack on you feels on some level like an attack on himself. He might subtly steer conversations away from criticism directed at you, counter negativity with a quiet positive, or simply refuse to engage with gossip about you. This protective stance, especially in your absence when there's nothing performative to gain, is potent. It's his soul instinctively shielding what has become precious, what has become part of its own territory. Love doesn't always need an audience. Its most authentic actions are often unseen. Conclusion: reading the soul's signature. When you step back, when you see these signs not as isolated incidents but as interwoven threads in a larger pattern, the picture becomes clearer. The silences gain meaning, the small gestures accumulate weight, the unconscious shifts reveal a profound internal transformation. True love, the kind that engages the soul, often arrives quietly. It speaks not in grand pronouncements, but in the consistent language of presence, care, vulnerability, and unwavering, often unconscious choice. Carl Jung reminded us that the unconscious holds our deepest truths, truths that inevitably manifest in our lives, whether we consciously acknowledge them or not. If you recognize this language in the man you're wondering about, if your intuition resonates with these patterns, trust that inner knowing. The rational mind demands proof, clarity, explicit statements. But the soul understands a different, older dialect, the language of energy, intention, and resonant action. What you seek isn't just a declaration, but the authentic echo of a soul that has recognized and quietly chosen yours. The evidence isn't always written in ink, but in the undeniable signature his soul leaves on his behavior, his priorities, his very being. This profound connection, emerging from the depths beyond conscious control, is the love that precedes words. It's the quiet recognition at the level of essence. Trust what you perceive in these subtle, powerful signs. His heart may have reached a destination long before his mind realizes it has even begun the journey. And if you witness this silent testimony, understand this: his soul has likely already whispered what his lips have yet to confess. He may indeed be far more in love with you than even he knows.